Good morning. Thanks for coming and watching my video. What we're going to work on today is installing wainscoting. We're going to do it in this room. This is going to be Krista and I's baby room. So what we're going to do is we're going to install it to 40 inches high, which I have marked on the wall to about here. We're going to put casing around this window, put a window stool, and pretty much it's going to be beadboard all the way around with a nice chair rail and some baseboard on top of that. So stick around and I'll show you how I do it. I've never done this before. It's kind of a learning experience, and we'll both learn together. Alright, thanks. Let me give you a quick tour of the room. Here's exactly what we have to work with. It's a 10 by 12, so it's not super big. We've got to go around that closet up to that door. So I think altogether I have 44 lineal feet of wall that we'll be installing it in. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is remove all the existing baseboard and all of the plug covers. The plugs could actually stay in place. Actually, you know what? We need to loosen the plugs and get them out. Disattach them from the screws so that they're loose, because when we put the panel over, we have to cut around it, and then those will actually be mounted on top of the panel. We'll have to buy longer screws. So that's what I'm going to get started on right now. First, I'm going to go around, cut the top of the baseboard to disconnect it from the caulking that it's sticking to the wall with, and then we'll just kind of pry the baseboard off. I don't have to be real careful with it, because if I ding up the walls, it doesn't matter. We're going to be covering it with some wainscoting. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, just want to give you a little update. The baseboards are off, I still haven't done the plugs. But one important thing to have, you want a pry bar, a crowbar, something kind of like this, that you can get back behind the baseboards and pry them off. And then you also want some dikes, because as you pull it out, there's a lot of nails that are still stuck in the wall. So there's my pair of dikes. Now I have to go around and have to pull all these nails out. It's not a hard job, just one of those things that you got to be prepared. I know with me, I get very aggravated when you're kind of doing something, then you realize, oh man, I need my dikes or I need my hammer, and it's best to have everything here. So I'm just kind of giving you an update of what you're going to need. Alright, so I've got everything off, everything's ready now to put the beadboard on. The board I is 4 by 8 sheet, so they look like pieces of plywood. This wall right here in front of us is 7 feet. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to cut one of these sheets to 40 inches tall, which would be to this line right here. And it'll be 4 feet, which will come to right around here. So I'm going to cut that piece, I'm going to bring it in here, we're going to locate this plug, and then you're supposed to use a jigsaw. I don't have a jigsaw. We're going to drill some holes and use a sawzall. So that's the way I'm going to cut that thing out. So let me go cut that panel, and we'll be back and see how that fits and how it looks. Alright, so I cut my piece. There's my piece of beadboard, and I marked a line on the wall. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. It's in pencil. No, can't see it. But anyways, there is a line there, marked at 40 inches. Use a level to make sure the line's nice and straight and level. Last thing I want is to build this thing and we stand back and look at it and it's half an inch out of level or something. So we've got the line there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the casing to the left to the plug, and from my line down. And that's how I'm going to find the center of that plug, mark it on the board, and cut it out. So I'll get that done and I'll be back in a minute. Wish me luck. I know in the past we've all done it. We do something like this and we're like an inch off, or it's just not in the right spot. So let's see how well I can get this thing lined up. Alright, I must say I'm pretty proud of myself. As you can see, I got the plug cut out and it's actually already sticking through where it's supposed to be. You have to unscrew the plug and kind of get it around it, because it'll now be mounted on top of this beadboard. And so it's kind of in there roughly. I just got my compressor set up with my nail gun. I got 1.5 inch nails that will be holding it to the wall, and I'm going to get this panel installed and I'll be back. Okay, I got the first piece installed. Everything went okay. Originally I had the gun, the air pressure at 90 psi, and I had to go down to about 80. I think with finished carpentry, stuff like this. I think actually a lot of it depends on your gun and on the compressor you're using, but typically I think about 80 pounds of pressure is what I would use on something like this. And I'm using Pancake, not sure exactly how big it is, but I put it in the other room so that we're not having to put up with all the noise. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of continue on, and I'm going to do this paneling all the way around the room. So when I'm done with that, I'll come back and we will work on getting the chair rail installed and the baseboard on top of that. Okay, before I move on, there's another thing I want to show you because we ran into a little bit of a hiccup. It's not a big deal, but from here to here and from here to here are different dimensions. This is level, so that means this wall is at a level. When you're working on old houses, you're going to find this a lot. So if I went out and I measured and I say this is 36, it's actually about 36 and 7/8, so I'm going to cut it to like 36 and 3/4 to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. But down here, it's like 36 and 3/4. So if I cut the whole sheet to 36 and 3/4, it's not going to fit. It's going to be real tight down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up here. I'm going to mark the board at 36 and 3/4, and then down here I'm going to go 36 and 5/8. So the cut on this side will actually be a little bit at a level, but you'll never see it, especially when the next piece butts up against this piece. So this one's going to be a little more work to cut, but you got to do it to make it look right. Okay, I started thinking about it, and I better show you how to cut this stuff too. That's part of the process. The cuts I'm making, these are sheets of plywood. I'm going to have like 18 inches left over, and so I'm cutting from both ends so that I have a nice sheet, nice clean cut on this side, and that's going to be the top of all the cuts I'm making, so when you're looking at the top of the chair rail, it's all the same. Otherwise, you know how we cut with our skill saws, or the lines look like this. So the way I'm doing it, mark 40 from here to here, and 40 on this side to here. And then you got to take a nice, something super straight, mark your line. I'm using my Where's Waldo pencil. Get that out of the way. And get it ready to cut. Put your safety glasses on. Make sure that when you make your cut, your trash can or whatever you're using isn't in the way underneath you. I'm actually going to start on this side. I know typically I don't like using this battery-powered crap. I have my big Makita that I can plug in skill saw, but this was easily accessible and I got to it quicker, so I'm going to use this. So I can hold this piece up and it doesn't fall and crack and break it. So now this piece is the one where we have to cut the length of it too. So now I'm going to mark it at 36 and 3/4 we were talking about. Make a line that's going to be slightly at a level, and then this piece will slide right in there perfectly. So let me go check something inside. I'll make that cut and then we'll be back inside on the next one.